Hello, everybody. Good morning. Welcome back to the J Lounge. Of course, you guys know I am your hostess with the most, Miss J, aka Miss Simone Jackson, here to bring you guys another wonderful episode of the J Lounge. Of course, everyone knows out there the J Lounge is a celebrity-based podcast show where we talk with entertainers, directors, singers, actors, producers, you name it. They all come down here and they all have a really great time. As always, I'm always excited to be introducing my next guest to you guys. She is a producer. She is also a television director. She's an American film and television producer. She's a director. She's the founder of Symmetry Pictures, and she is here to talk about her amazing work. I can't wait for you guys to get to know her and definitely get to know about all about her work. Please, everyone, give a super warm welcome to Dana Offenbach. Hi, Dana.
Hi, Simone. Thank you
How are
so much.
you?
I am great today, coming right
Uh,
back from Sundance last night. How bad could I be?
I mean, honestly, that is on the bucket list. That is on the bucket list. I will definitely gonna be throwing some questions at you at your way for the Sundance. But I want to fire the first question at you, Dana. I want to know what began your passion for films.
So, I'm going to be really honest about that. I was a little girl, probably 4 or 5, and I saw a film called The Wizard of Oz.
Oh
And
yes.
it was actually a moment where I understood that there was a medium for all of the ideas that were in my head. And then when I was also pretty young, we'll stay away from age, you know how this business is.
Of course.
But I went to see the original Star Wars film, and that was it. That sealed the deal for me.
Oh my goodness. The Wizard of Oz. I have to agree with that. That movie will make you believe in magic if you don't already. I
Hmm.
mean, the
Yeah.
classicness of that movie. It's so ahead of its time, even though it was, back in what was it, 1918, 1920s?
Oh,
That
yeah.
film came with, yeah, it's still so ahead of its time. And
Oh,
it's
it's just
just,
it's classic. It's timeless, and that's
yeah,
a that's the I think there's a lot of films that are ahead of their time, but they don't become timeless, and that's a very different place in history, right?
yeah, absolutely, absolutely. And then you have Star Wars, which really shows the creativity of a
Of
filmmaker.
imagination of where you what you can
Yeah.
do with. By the way, just for your audience, The Wizard
Mhm.
of Oz was released in 1939.
Wow,
So if you think
really?
about that, also there was a Second World War. I mean, you think about what was going on, and I think that people really needed a moment of fantasy or a moment of escape.
Absolutely.
Hmm.
Absolutely. I agree with you on that. Going on to the next question, Dana, name three people who influenced your career and why.
Ha, three. Well, it's not a it's a collective group of people. The first group of people, the first thing I want to say is, I had a family, a mom, a dad, and a sister who really believed and encouraged me to believe that I could do anything I wanted. So I would keep them as one. And then, there's two men that I have to really give a shout out to. One was Martin Maurice, who gave me the foundation. He was actually my first boss in my first production department at a big ad agency.
Oh, yeah.
And here I was, like, working for him in business affairs and wanting to move into production. And I was making my first film. And he would let me run out of the office. He would turn a blind eye. He would act like he didn't see me sneaking out. And, he would just encourage me to do what I was doing. He really wanted to see me be successful. And he gave me the home that I needed at the time. I'm a girl from Washington Heights, so I didn't come from money. So I
Hmm.
needed to earn a living. So I had to have a job. And I just also want to say for your audience, it's okay to have a job. You don't need
Yes.
permission to make art, you just do it. So I had this job, which was in the business, but the business of making commercials. And I would, run out and make films. And he encouraged me and allowed me to do that. So I have to give that shout out to him. And then there was the infamous Byron Lewis, who I really have to give credit for launching my film career. he let me take 2 months off of work and go make a film. And then he literally took me and dropped me into the middle of the film industry. And he looked me right in the face, basically, and said, "Oh, don't walk, run." And I would say, if I think back, those were two people who were really, instrumental in moving my career forward.
That's amazing. That is incredible. I'm glad they gave you the tools to, build your foundation, for your
Absolutely.
career. That is awesome. That support is so valuable and so precious. Really, it
Absolutely.
really is. I'm glad that they gave you those tools because, if they didn't give you the tools, you wouldn't be here. So I'm glad they gave you that foundation.
And
Absolutely.
it's interesting too, because everybody looks for mentorship. Um, and mentorship and support can come in a lot of different ways, right?
Hmm.
People who are just encouraging, people your boss who might have nothing to do with this industry but really wants to see you be successful. I have to just share that this is a common story that I hear from a lot of people. I was working this job at this person, but they knew I wanted to act and they would let me leave for my auditions, or they knew I wanted to write. And, there were times I'd come in tired for work, but they still hired me, or they hired me as a copywriter. And I was still writing. I just wasn't writing my novel. Or, for me, who wanted to be a producer, I was producing 30-second spots. But I got to work with really big toys and really cool people and people who want to do what you're doing. And eventually you find a way to do that thing that you're trying to do.
Yes, absolutely. Amen to that. I completely.
Hmm.
Oh, going on to the next question. As I mentioned earlier in the introduction, you created Symmetry Pictures. Can you tell the J Labs audience the story about behind it and what type of stories and what type of films you like to guys put out, content you like to put out?
Well, I will tell you exactly what happened. We were raising money for a film called Muslim, and the money needed to come to me. I can't remember exactly why, or I think it was really the relationship with the investor. The investor wanted to invest through me or my company. So I actually had to go scramble and open up a company. And that was like 11, 12 years ago. And I opened this company to take in the investment and then just, kick it into the film. So I actually opened the company to ingest money for a film. And since then, the company has gone on to do, we dance in the world of brands, TV commercials, branded content. If it's original content, I'm interested. And we've done how many? 4 or 5 independent features,
Nice.
some shorts. We run a women's short screenplay contest every year. We're getting ready to produce the second short film out of there, and that's another vehicle to help writers, that write unrepresented writers, get their work produced and published. So, we have a big effort. I've been a member of New York Women in Film and Television for many years. New York Women in Television was
Hmm.
a wonderful support group that helped me launch my career, or gave me the courage to pers- pursue this career. And, I really am committed to nurturing and doing what I can to move women forward in this industry.
Yes, I love that. I love that. Yes, it's New York Women in Film and Television is a great support group. I've interviewed many different women from there, and just their passion, their careers, everything. It's just been amazing, and
Yes.
it's a great support group to have, and I'm so glad you have it, and that's just amazing though. That is just
Yeah.
incredible. Going on to the next question, going into number four, what's been the best film you've worked on so far? And going on to earlier, can you tell us a little bit about your experience at Sundance?
Uh, So, the best film, people ask me that. Every single film is an amazing experience because every production teaches you something new. Now, of course, I have this deep affinity to the first film I worked on, and I came in late on this, and it was a little tiny film called Have Plenty. And I'm still in touch with a lot of the people that we worked with on that because I always say I love production because it's a team sport.
Mm-hmm.
So, Have Plenty will always have a special place in my heart because it really catapulted me into the film industry. It was also the first film that I went to Sundance with. And then, of course, you have always got to say this last film, To Live and Die and Live with Casa Basir, which is our second film together, really has and will always have a very special place in my heart because of so many reasons. But this is a really special story that transcends race, religion, gender. It's got these universal themes and something for everyone. And uh, it really was made at a time where so many people needed a film like this. It
Mm-hmm.
deals with issues of addiction and it deals with issues of loss and it deals with issues of choice and it deals with issues of love and it deals with issues of family. And how bad can that be?
Ooh,
And,
yeah.
he's also a very special human being. So to work with somebody whose talent you admire, but really like as a person is such a blessing.
Oh, that is amazing. That is incredible. And I'm so glad you got to experience that, both at Sundance, and that's amazing. That is
Yes.
amazing. For all any of my audience, if you haven't experienced Sundance, it is a once in a lifetime experience. It really is.
Hmm.
You can see just some of the most gorgeous films ever. You can see filmmakers in the making. It's just the premiere for any movie lover. Honestly, it really is.
Yeah, but I want to add something here
Of
for
course.
anybody who might be listening. If you don't go there, I was more of my films were rejected by Sundance and got in. Like it doesn't mean everything. It's nice if it happens, but you just keep going, even if you don't get accepted. So please don't take a rejection from Sundance or any film festival as a mark on your career or your artistry.
Completely agree. Completely agree. You gotta go through 100 no's before you get that one yes.
Hmm.
It
Yes,
it
you do.
is it is the life of a filmmaker. You gotta go through those 1,000 no's to get that one yes. So that
Yes.
is so true. All right, going on to the next question. Dana, I want to make sure my audience follows you and your work. Where are you on social media?
So I am, I guess I'm old school a bit. I still am on Facebook. Both myself and my company, Cinema Street Pictures, have Facebook pages, but I've kind of gravitated more towards Instagram, and I am at Film Girl 2013. And I did have another social media handle, but because of um, some social issues that I do and don't believe in, I felt that I had to drop that platform. And I think, I'm going to say this that, as artists, as citizens of the world and the country, the one thing that we have control over is where we spend our money and where we create
Yes.
a presence.
Mm-hmm.
And our presence should be really thoughtful and something that moves the world forward and leans into love and not into negativity. And I thought that was really important. So I actually did something that was very unpopular with a lot of people, and I dropped one of my platforms because I felt that I personally could no longer be there.
No, completely understand. That is completely understand. And you are so right. We control our presence where we go with our presence and our money. So that is so true. And good for you for sticking to what you believe in and not being persuaded by others. Good for you. That is
Hmm.
that is incredible. I love that.
Hmm.
Okay, going on to the next question. What future project are you currently working on right now that you can give a little dish about to the J Lounge audience?
So what am I working on? I own a true story that I have been working on. We just finished writing a novel, writing the novel of this true story. It actually is a story that takes place in Russia in 1957. It's a true
Ooh.
story. I got the rights several years ago. I'm working on two independent feature films with two powerhouse talents that really have done a lot of interesting work, but this would be both of their first feature films that they wrote and directed. And by the way, if you look at my work, you'll see that there's something that turns me on about new talent
Yeah.
and discuss. So I'm not afraid to jump in with a first time feature director. So I'm working with Paula Walker on her film called Lush Life right now. And I'm working with Colin Costello on his feature called Naomi. And they're both really interesting, powerful, necessary stories for the world to see. And I'm working on a 4-part docuseries that kind of ties all the worlds that I've grown up in together and trying to see. And then, there's always stuff going on, but those are probably the 3 projects that are ready, or 4 projects that are pretty ready to go do something and get out into the world.
Oh, how exciting. How
Yeah,
exciting. Well, make sure you keep the J Lounge here posted. We'll definitely want to hear more
absolutely.
about it. And I love how you work with new filmmakers. I mean, as I said, these are the, future, you know, directors, powerhouse directors of the future.
Yep.
They all have to start out small. Martin Scorsese, didn't start off as, writing Oscar winning films at, day one. He had to write small films too and
Yeah.
take a baby step. So I'm glad that you're really molding in the new filmmakers of today. That's awesome.
Yeah, I don't like take the easy route. I don't do things that are easy. I do things that are necessary. I do things that are brilliant. I do things that are bold and brave. And, I think the rewards are bigger. And I want to say something to your audience, if you would allow me a
Of
moment.
course.
When you're an artist, you just have to go and make your art. You don't need anybody's permission. There are two imposters in this industry, and they are both what the industry or what people deem to be success and what people deem to be failures. And both of those are imposters, because when you're an artist, you just make your art.
Yeah.
Like, you do it because you have to. And somebody said this to me many years ago, if you're a writer, just write. If you're a producer, just produce. If you're a director, just direct. There's ways to just get your friends, get people. Now everybody's got a camera, people edit. Just go do this thing. Don't worry about getting paid. Don't worry about industry recognition. Make your art because you're an artist, and it will find an audience. I promise.
So true. That is
Yep.
so true. That is absolutely true. There's an audience, especially in the movie making world. There is an audience for any little movie, as long as it's crafted well, it's acted well, it's written well, it's directed well. There is an audience. It doesn't matter if it's not getting recognized by the industry, or it's small or something. If it's a great
No,
movie
but I'm
and
going to jump in there, Simone. Everything starts with story.
mm-hmm,
And for me, I have to have a passion for the story,
yep,
right? Because you can polish something, but if the story isn't there, it doesn't matter how good it looks. Somebody said this to me many years ago. I'm going to share all of these little tidbits that I live by now. There's only 2 things that really matter in film: story and performance.
true.
Just keep that in mind.
That is so
But you could
true.
get a great script and a great casting director.
Yes. Yes, I absolutely agree with that. That is absolutely true. That's absolutely true. I hope everyone's listening in because it's great tidbits that's being shared here.
Mhm.
All right. Going on to the next question, Dina. What goals do you hope to still accomplish in your career that you haven't yet?
What goals do I think, for me, the goal is to continue to work with people who are interesting and people who are kind, and put important content out to people that can be able to see themselves in these stories. And if they don't see themselves in these stories, learn something new about somebody else.
Mm-hmm.
And at my heart, I'm just a storyteller. So I just really want to continue to tell stories. And what I would like in the future is to be able to find the money for independent films in an easier fashion. I have to
Yeah.
be honest about that. The hardest thing about what I do is finding the money.
No, I get it. I completely understand. That's always number one thing for any filmmaker is finding the funding. It's always, yeah,
Yep.
that's always the, yeah, completely understand.
Yes.
Completely understand. That's always a
But
block.
we make it work. We make it
Yes.
work. I mean, I've worked on films that had a single investor, and I've worked on films that had 20 investors. However, like by any means necessary, as we say, just get
Yeah.
it done.
Just get it done. I completely agree. I completely
Yeah.
agree. All right. Just got a couple more questions for you, Dana. Going on to the next question. What passions do you have outside of films and producing?
Um, wow. I absolutely love to swim. I love my friends and my family, or I should say my family and my friends. I am deeply passionate about the people in my life. They all know it. I am a garden and they are my water. I cannot exist without the people I love.
Hmm.
And I probably should have started with this, but then it makes me cry, so I can't keep talking. I am deeply passionate about my husband, who is one of the kindest, most talented human beings that I know. So my life is full, which really feeds my work. I'm really happy. I have no other skills. There's nothing else I want to do. I love to swim and I love to travel.
I love that. I love that. I love how you have such a beautiful support group. That's amazing. Shout out to the support group. Shout out to the husband.
Yay!
Yes, y'all deserve
Yes.
your recognition too.
Yes.
Yes. Takes a village. We all have a village of people. Oh,
Yes.
so I love that. All right. Just got two more questions for you, Dana, going on to number nine. What's been some of the most rewarding moments in your career so far?
That's such a good question. Some of the most rewarding, I'm going to share one of the absolute most rewarding moments, which were just duplicated. And interestingly enough, it's with the same filmmaker. It's Qasim Basir. We were in at the Cairo Film Festival with Muslim I'm going to say it was 2011. I think it was 2011. I could be wrong. It might have been 2012, but I think it was 2011. And we screened this film to an audience in Cairo. And this little old man came up to Qasim crying. He really couldn't speak English. We had subtitles, I believe, on the film. And he was just sobbing and thanking him for making that film, as if nobody in the whole world really understood what he was going through. Muslim, if nobody has seen it, is a film about a young Muslim going to college just after 9/11.
Hmm.
And it talked about how, being a Muslim in America and being a man of color in America, how he was vilified and what that meant. And it was really a love letter from Qasim to his community and to all of the people who were suffering the prejudices that were and still are. I look at things that are happening today, and a specific
Hmm.
somebody being removed from her committee assignment on a governmental in the House of Representatives, and it just makes me weep that here we are, how many 12 years later, and we still have to uh, secure this community. So those are some of my favorite moments. And again, I just left Sundance after screening this film to Live and Die and Live, and the same thing happened. People were coming up to him, crying and thanking him for telling their stories as well.
Ugh, that is so powerful. But it goes to show what happens when people can see their stories
Mm-hmm.
being told, and it's that moving, it's that powerful. So that's incredible. That is
Yeah,
incredible. I know that's a feeling that would stay with me for a while, for sure.
yeah. Thank you.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. All right, going on to the last question, Dana. Any advice for any of the filmmakers in the making?
I do. Don't No is not a word in your vernacular. Just keep going. I have I've clawed my way through this industry. I had lawyers who wouldn't even take my call, but would bill me every month. Like I have, I felt it. I have felt the no's. I have felt the doors slamming. But again, I just keep coming back to this place. If you're an artist, you just have to do it. I have to tell stories. I have no other skills. There's nothing, Al Pacino was told he would never act because he was too short. And, there's a million of those stories, right? There's
Mm-hmm.
a million of those. There is no such thing as an overnight success in this industry. The only way that you get to like just waltz into this industry and make stuff is if you come from a family with a lot of money and you walk in with your checkbook. And, everybody knows that. We know that that's the easy way in. But let's talk about the people that are listening to me today do not have the easy path in. They have the hard path like I did. And it meant everything to me. So just make sure that this is what you want to do, that it means everything to you, that you will sleep on somebody's couch if you have to. You will go home to your mom's house or stay in your mom's house so that you can eat. Whatever you have to do to make your art, just do it and just keep going. Perseverance is 90% of the success in this industry.
I completely agree. And I think that's beautiful sound advice. I hope any filmmaker that is listening in today is really taking heed and really taking all that amazing tidbits and advice coming from Dana. Um, yeah, I really hope everyone's listening in and taking it all in. But Dana, you have been such a pleasure to be able to speak with today. I really appreciate you coming onto the show, really speaking about your passion, your work. It's definitely an honor for being able to have you on my show. So I really appreciate it.
Simone, let me just take a moment to thank you, right? Because these little moments with people like yourself who recognize and want to talk to people like me and tell our stories so that the right person can hear it are just as critical in our process.
Hmm.
And, for anybody who has listened to any of your podcasts who have been inspired by it, also need to thank you. I say this, I mean it. Production's a team sport. I love being on this team. All of us are part of the team. For all of the young people out there wanting to do it, just keep going. I promise you it'll happen. You hear everybody's story. You hear I went on 80 million auditions till I got that one break. I mean, there is no overnight success. It's all BS. So just put that aside and keep going.
Hmm. That's so true. There is no overnight success. Nothing comes overnight. You got to put in the work, you got to put in the time, and you got to be really passionate about what you do.
Yes.
And, and then the rest will follow.
Yep.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
What do they say? Do what you love and the money will follow. It's
Yes,
absolutely
that is
true.
so true.
It's
That is
so
so
true.
true. Yes. And I know, for some people, the hardest part is, waiting, but, nothing comes overnight. Nothing
No.
comes overnight. So, but I
Nothing.
really,
And don't get your joy from anybody else. The only one that controls your future is you. Just do that
yes,
thing you do. Just do it.
absolutely. Absolutely. All right, everyone. I want to thank everybody for listening in. I want to thank my amazing guest, Dana Offenbach, one more time for being incredible. I want to thank everyone for listening in. Make sure you follow Dana on Instagram. Make sure you follow on Facebook as well as their Cinema Street pictures. Make sure you do that as well. But of course, you guys know I've been your hostess with the mostest, Miss J, aka Miss Simone Jackson. I'll be back with another great episode of the J Lounge here soon. Till then, thank you, everyone. Thank you, Dana, and I'll be back soon. Bye.
Bye all.